Hey there, amazing business story family. Welcome to another episode of Business Story. In 2054, the federal government of the United States has recently established a new police division. It's unique in that individuals who commit crimes in the future will be apprehended by the police, a practice referred to as pre-crime. Naturally, this is the storyline of the 2002 film Minority Report. It is unsettling to live in a world where crimes are discovered before they are committed. It lies halfway between the conveniences of safety and low crime rates and total government surveillance and control. Even though it's frightening, it's ultimately just a concept in a film. Does it not? This next breakthrough goes much deeper. Researchers have used artificial intelligence, AI, to convert brain scans into text, reaching right down to the very tissue of our brains. Through the conversion of brain activity into a text string, researchers at UT have essentially created a device known as a semantic decoder that can read a person's mind. A machine designed at the University of Texas at Austin in May 2023 can convert a person's mental activity and thoughts into a coherent text stream. Recently, Meta, a company, took the same action. That's not all, though. Additionally, Meta just unveiled an AI system last month that can read a person's brainwaves and guess what they are looking at. They managed to accomplish this in real time, as if that weren't enough. In essence, the system reads people's minds. Has a multi-billionaire social media company used generative AI to develop a telepathy device recently? On the one hand, privacy could be severely harmed by this. On the other hand, a lot of people who are mute because of disease or trauma could benefit from these technologies. Every significant technological advancement that occurs these days seems to create more questions than it does answers. Though reading brainwaves and deciphering people's thoughts is not quite up to the capabilities of Minority Report, it's a step in the right direction. All of this will be examined in this episode.
You are watching Business Story.
A crazy journey is ahead of you. Let us delve into the university's mind-reading AI first. After that, we'll discuss what Meta is doing. That one is going to make you want to stay put, because it contains stuff that could change the world. For some people, UTS's newest artificial intelligence tool has the potential to be a game changer. Our actual wish is that this might be beneficial to those who, for whatever reason, are unable to communicate. The University of Texas at Austin's research team that created the mind-reading device was led by computer science doctorate candidate Jerry Teng and assistant professor of neuroscience and computer science Alexander Huth. The Journal of Nature Neuroscience published their research. The non-invasive language decoder is the name given to the mind-reading apparatus. Although language decoders are not new, applying them in light of the most recent developments in generative AI is. Only a few words here and there, or at most a few phrases, could be recognized by older versions. Jerry Teng and his group have succeeded in completely outperforming this. Their technology is able to reconstruct continuous language from silent videos, imagined speech, and perceived speech. Conversely, a technique such as neural link would be intrusive. Although there would be more data clarity, there are also more risks. A novel system known as a semantic decoder was developed by the UT Austin team. It operates by utilizing functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, to analyze non-invasive brain recordings. The decoding model creates continuous natural language from what a person sees or imagines. It sounds amazing, but let's not get carried away until we consider the constraints of a non-invasive system and the difficulties the researchers faced. Although invasive techniques like implanting electrodes into the brain have shown promise in the past, non-invasive systems are still in their infancy and lagging behind in important domains. The non-invasive fMRI was selected by the team due to its exceptional spatial specificity, which enables precise localization of brain neuroactivity. Its primary shortcoming, though, is its temporal resolution, that is, how fast it records alterations in brain activity. The bold signal, which the fMRI measures and is dependent on blood oxygen level, is infamously slow to rise and fall in response to neural activity, taking roughly 10 seconds. Consider the task of deciphering natural language, wherein humans speak between 1 and 2 words per second. So how did they approach this issue? In order to tackle this issue, scientists utilized an encoding model that forecasts the brain's reaction to spoken language. They recorded participants' brain responses while they listened to spoken narrative stories for 16 hours in order to train the model. They were able to create a precise model of the brain's reactions to various word sequences by taking the semantic features and applying linear regression. Essentially, it is a model trained on over 15 hours of data per subject to recognize brain activity while the subject is seated in an MRI scanner and to generate the narrative that the subject is listening to. This is where things start to get a little more intriguing. Using a generative neural network language model, or generative AI, the researchers made sure the words that were decoded had correct English grammar and structure. It's interesting to note that they made use of GPT-1, a precursor to the well-known ChatGPT models. With precision, this model can forecast which words in a given sequence are most likely to appear next. Here's the catch, though. It would be impossible to create and score every single word sequence because there are so many possible combinations. Here's where beam search, a clever algorithm, comes into play. Allow me to explain how this operates in brief. One word at a time, word sequences are generated by first analyzing brain activity. An initial collection of the most likely word sentences is used. As it continues to analyze brain activity and finds new words, it comes up with more potential continuations for every group sequence. With each step, the most promising options are retained, as this method progressively reduces the pool of possibilities. The decoder continuously improves its predictions and finds the most likely words over time by retaining the most reliable sequences. Here, an illustration would be required. Think about the situation. The brain activity associated with the word apple is learned by the decoder when the person hears or thinks it. The algorithm uses previously learned associations to produce a word sequence that corresponds to the meaning of the language stimulus whenever the user comes across a new word or sentence. For instance, the algorithm might produce the statements, "I consumed a fruit," or "an apple was in my mouth," if someone hears or thinks, "I ate an apple." Although it might not be a perfect match, the generated word sequence nevertheless conveys the semantic representation. The researchers were able to get around the restrictions of invasive fMRI scans with the aid of generative AI, a creative search algorithm, and an inventive encoding system. Now that the difficulties had been overcome, the researchers could finally test the system and see what it was capable of. 3 people were given decoder training, and the team assessed each person's decoder by examining their brain activity while they listened to brand new stories. Finding out if the decoder could comprehend the information's meaning was the aim, and the results? Outstanding beyond description. In addition to capturing the information's meaning, the decoded word sequences frequently repeated the precise words and phrases. This demonstrates that deep meaning or semantic information can be gleaned from brain signals captured by functional magnetic resonance imaging. Additionally, the researchers aim to determine whether language-related information is stored in distinct or similar brain regions. In essence, they sought to understand how different cortical regions participate in the decoding process. Cortical regions are discrete areas found in the cerebral cortex, the brain's outer layer. Different motor, cognitive, and sensory processes are associated with each region. When the researchers compared their predictions with word sequences decoded in these regions, they made an amazing discovery. They discovered that word-level language representations are redundantly encoded in a variety of brain regions. In essence, our brains have fallback mechanisms for comprehending and using language. It is comparable to owning multiple copies of the same book. You can read the book with another copy even if the first one gets damaged or lost. It implies that our ability to speak will not be affected if one area of the brain is damaged because other brain regions can still process the same information. And that's a really amazing discovery. The researchers made even more progress. They used imagined speech to test their system, which is important because it helps the brain interpret silent speech. During fMRI scans, participants were instructed to imagine stories, and the decoder was able to decipher the meaning and content of their stories. The possibility of decoding other kinds of information also excited the researchers, who were overjoyed with their new findings. They investigated decoding across modes. The decoder continued to function even when the participants were not hearing spoken language, which surprised the researchers. The model is able to predict word descriptions of what people are seeing, even when they are watching a movie. This work represents a major step forward for non-invasive brain-computer interfaces. To enhance the decoding process, the study did point out the necessity of incorporating motor features and participant feedback. Still, the story is not done. As promised, Meta has entered the scene and is pushing the boundaries of what we previously believed to be achievable. Let's now turn our attention to Meta and its revolutionary advancements in the field of artificial intelligence mind reading. The idea of decoding brainwaves has been elevated to a whole new level by the technological juggernaut, pushing the bounds of what was previously thought to be feasible. In a recent announcement that shocked the tech world, Meta disclosed an AI system that can predict what a person is actively looking at in real time, in addition to analyzing brainwaves. It is essentially a mind-reading technique that seems to have jumped out of a science fiction novel, issues and dangers that should be carefully considered. On the one hand, the idea of real-time visual thought decoding presents unprecedented privacy risks. Interpreting what someone sees could be a double-edged sword that offers priceless insights into personal experiences but also poses a serious risk to privacy. The groundwork established by the University of Texas researchers is expanded upon by Meta's invention. The UT team concentrated on using brain activity to decode language, but Meta's system goes farther and explores the visual domain of thought. Meta's success can be attributed to their capacity to decipher brainwaves linked to visual stimuli. They can anticipate what a person is seeing by using sophisticated AI algorithms that analyze patterns of brain activity in response to visual input. The effects of this technology are wide-ranging. Envision a world in which your spoken and visual thoughts could be translated into comprehensible language. It provides opportunities for people who are unable to speak because of illness or injury that go beyond communication. But as with any technological innovation, there are moral dilemmas that, however, Meta's technology has the potential to transform disciplines like psychology and neurology by providing previously unattainable insights into the workings of the human mind. It might open the door to novel approaches to the treatment of diseases involving vision and thought processes. The delicate balance between ethical considerations and technological advancement becomes increasingly important as we venture into the uncharted territory of mind-reading AI. Concerns are raised regarding permission, data security, and possible abuse of such potent instruments. Are we prepared for a society in which privacy is no longer an option? There's no denying that Meta's accomplishment represents a quantum leap in our knowledge of the human mind and artificial intelligence. Science fiction and reality are becoming more and more muddled, which makes us wonder about the moral and societal ramifications of a time when the mind isn't just a place for private reflection. One thing is certain, as we wait for more advancements in this quickly developing field, mind-reading AI has arrived, and things may never be the same. Follow along for more information on this revolutionary voyage into the world of ideas and technology.